So we're going to be looking at another resin figure today. This time a figure of Mylene Jenius on Macross 7. So let's get into it. Now one nice thing about this kit is it does come with some wire so that you can string her base. Whether this is sufficient to do it properly, I'm not sure. I'm not really familiar with musical instruments. Someone can probably tell me otherwise. Now, in terms of casting, everything seems very nicely done. There aren't any noticeable seam lines. There is some flashing here, but given just the shape, that's to be understandable, as well as the pour stub. I believe this is probably where the base sits on her hip to give it a little support, so I'm not concerned with that being there. Moving on to the other leg, much the same again. Very clean cast. Nothing really sort of stands out. Moving on to her main body, all the details nicely done. Nothing really sort of sticks out, save for the choice to put the pour stub here. I think it would have been better to put it here in the leg well or elsewhere, because that's going to be a little on the difficult side to clean up. Yeah, but other than that, nothing major that I can see, at least by my eye. So very nicely cast. Moving on to part of her headpiece, which is broken up several pieces. Choice of putting the pour stub on top of some of the hair I think, is a bad decision. It's going to make cleanup much more difficult, especially working with these hair follicles. That's going to just be difficult to work around. Continuing on with next piece of hair. Again, casting is clean. Have mounting holes for some of the additional oarlocks. A little bit of flashing there, but other than that, it's a clean cast. Might deepen some of the hair locks a little bit just to give it a little bit more depth, but other than that, nothing really needs to be done. Do hate when they put pour stubs on hair like that. It's just very difficult to clean up. Yeah, much the same here on this half of the hair piece, which if we goes together more or less like this. Obviously, since I still have the pour stubs on, there's going to be a little bit of a fit issue, but for the most part, the fit looks clean, so it doesn't look like there's going to be any filling there. Now, moving on to her base, casting's good. No wobbles, no bending, none of that. Pour stub's a little on the thick side, so that's going to be interesting to clean up. Again, I'm assuming the fretting or the stringing goes into this area, so that's going to be interesting to look up. Now, the kit does include these parts so that you can basically put it as sort of a strap. Sorry, blanked on what it's called, but I would say don't use these. I would say get some small bits of leather and use those instead. They'll be more realistic, and I would also say that it'd be safer just because it's less likely to fall. Moving on, last bit of hair. Should have gotten that before that. Again, this stupid pour stub, that's going to be a pain to clean. Her shoulder piece, it's fairly nicely done. I'm not sure if this is a pour. Yeah, that's just a sort of fill piece. That's going to need to be removed, and this part is going to be easy to clean up. No surprise there. Similar type of casting in comparison to the leg on the arm as well. Again, pour stub could have been better placed, but that's not the worst I've seen. Moving to the other arm. See, they could have, as I was saying before, they could have put the poor stuff like this. That would make life a lot easier. Now, for this hand, they decided to cut the hand here behind the fingertips. Roughly, if you look, be about here on a human hand, on a real hand. Don't know. I understand why they did it, so that make it easier to attach the base, but I think there's a better way that it could have been done better. Thumb also is really thin. I mean, very, very thin. And hang on a second. Okay, sorry about that. For a second there, I thought I hadn't been really showing it on camera, but as you can see, thumb really didn't come out very well cast. It's very thin and unnatural, so that's going to be a bit of an issue to fix. Moving on to our other foot, again, similar to deal with the other one, but nothing stands out as far as issues, just clean cast. Now, as far as the other hand, casting is a little odd, and just the fingers are just really thin. Again, that could just be my eye to scale, but definitely could use a little bit of rounding as well, again, on the thumb. So, but other than that, it's passable. Now, the face is where I think they didn't do that great a job. For one thing, the ears are really thin in terms of the casting, especially on this side. Granted, some of that is going to be hidden with the hair and everything, but the mouth is where I think they basically overdid in terms of emotion. It's just, excuse me, goes from being excited to just creepy excited, if you can get what I'm saying. And it's something that doesn't help that it's not painted, so it makes it a little worse. Next up, we got one of the pieces for the guitar, which are the bass, and if I recall, it goes more or less here. If I'm trying to remember exactly. Yeah, that one goes there. There's another piece that goes, which is here, which connects to the top of the bass that comprises the head fret. So I'm leaving these in the plastic bag to make it easier so they don't get lost. And you can also see here the other half of the hand. Now, last bit is, I was surprised, is this little bit of a bass. Now, I would definitely say attach this to a larger bass, just to make sure it's sturdy. There is a little bit of air bubbles here. I'm going to try this. Hopefully this will show up. But right more or less where my finger is here, there is some bubbling. So overall, this kit does have some issues, but it's not terrible. Definitely, if you're a fan of Macross, this is one I would recommend trying to get a hold of. There are some things that are going to take a little bit of extra work just because of the nature, both of it being a resin kit and obviously having to do the frets, and with the strap parts being next to useless. So yeah, that was a look at a 1/8 figure of Mylene Jenius from Macross 7. Till next time.